I have that it's 7 o'clock. We'll call this meeting to order. Everybody stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Just a reminder of the sign-in book. If you have comments during public comment time, you'll be asked to sign in. And first order on the agenda is approval of March minutes and April claim docket. Do we need to talk about our discrepancy, or since you're fixing that, or?
You can bring it up.
We just found the Hendricks County Highway Department. We owe them $300, not $3,000, so we're gonna fix that. She's already voided the check, and we'll work on a new one next time she's in the office. On the claim document.
Well, I'll make a motion that we approve the March minutes and the April claim dockets.
Okay, got a first motion?
I'll second.
Got a second motion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Alright, old business streetlight changes update. Pete. Okay.
I got a hold of a gentleman by the name of Steve Lee from Duke Energy on the 5th, and I asked him about the add-on lights and the plug-ins for the Christmas decorations. I thought while they're here, we try to get everything done all at once. And he told me he couldn't get all that information for me by April, by this meeting, but he would have it for me by May, because I don't want any hidden costs. You know what I mean? You guys get hit with surprises on that.
Okay, keep us updated.
Yeah.
Next is crack seal proposal for sealing cracks in the streets.
Okay, or paving. He gave me an estimate of 80 cents per lineal foot. That's for a crack anywhere from a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch. And that's the only bid I've got able to get so far. So I'm assuming that if, say, the crack goes this way for a while and then back this way, if you go a foot this way, it's covered for 80 cents. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, but you do have another person that you're trying to.
I'm trying to get hold of, yeah.
Yeah. Just keep us updated on that then. Fire station remodel project.
Okay, I think you guys have the list that they would like to have done. I talked to Chief Russell, in the last conversation I had with him, he sort of hinted around that he'd be happy with whatever he could get for right now. So I'm assuming if we said, okay, we can do the bathroom, they'd be happy with that for now, because a lot of this stuff, some of it's down, down the stairs, fixing the concrete floor and all kinds of, has nothing to do with the upstairs.
And you were gonna walk through the building with a construction
Yeah,
professional to kind of give you insights on.
Yeah, the Assistant Chief Trevor Bolton's the one to give me this list. And he's supposed to give me dimensions on the drawings they had from the contractor that give us, that last one I turned in last month's meeting for the 101,000. He supposedly has drawings and dimensions, which he hadn't got that back to me yet. So if we had the dimensions on the bathrooms and everything else, I was gonna try to get a contractor on a walkthrough at the same time.
Well, I was gonna bring up while we're on that, Mr. Butler got the building in Hazelwood. It's now theirs, or his, before he got, so I don't know that any of the fire department will be moving some of their stuff down there. And also, he was saying that he's hired a contractor to start their bidding or looking for that 5 acres that someone donated on 39 south, the building, it's gonna be building a new station down there. So my train of thought is, I don't know how long all this is gonna take to transpire, but I can't see wasting that kind of money on this building down there if more than likely they're gonna move. Then that's my opinion, if they've got all that going on. So I think we need to know from them exactly what their plan is before we would invest a lot of money of putting more bedrooms and all that down there, because it wouldn't be used for that. If they left, we would take it over. We wouldn't need all that in there. But I think we need to know for them what they're planning to do instead of wasting, or not wasting, investing that money. I don't know what you guys think about that or not.
Thoughts?
Yeah, I hear you, John.
Yeah. You know, and of course,
Some of our
No.
plan of attack could be,
Yeah.
we work on projects there that will benefit the building regardless of what it
Yeah.
ends up being if the fire department does leave.
Yeah.
So if we remodel a bathroom,
Right.
it's still gonna be a bathroom for whatever we end up using it for.
Yeah.
If we,
Yeah.
you know,
But we wouldn't have to go through the expense of moving the bedroom, the sleeping area and all that other
right,
stuff.
so,
Yeah.
you know, yeah. we
extra
save-
showers in and,
Right,
We save the projects that have to do with a fire station sleeping area, you know, a little bit further down the road, so
Right.
that if they vacate that building,
Yeah.
then we have other
Yeah.
things that can use that building for.
right.
yeah, I'm almost, it would make sense that they would vacate it, because Hazelwood Station's newer than that building, got more bays, and plus, once you get the new station built, all the equipment will be down there, so, I would say, so. But again, that's just my opinion or thoughts on it.
The new station would be on 39, right?
Yeah,
Right across from where I grew up.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
That far south?
Yeah.
Alright. 'Cause I know one of the conversations I had with Mr. Butler was talking about the improvements of our ISO rating, which having the station leave town and be all the way down in Hazelwood would negatively affect our ISO rating instead of positively affect it, so, unless he's planning on staffing both stations or
Well,
something
I
like that.
guess the main priority is warehouses, right?
yeah,
That's where most of the runs are.
The actual addresses of the warehouses are still right around 10% of the runs.
Is that right?
Of course, addresses in Clayton are about 10 or 11% of the runs also, so they're going, you know, in the county on, you know, they had a big wreck this morning at 900 south and 300 west, so, you know, that, so they go lots of other places in the township besides just the warehouses that are here, but. We can certainly keep, open lines of communication with them, trying to figure out, you know, what their plan is, at each step of the way. I still think having a contractor walk through with Pete through the building
Yeah.
and say what's possible, what's not possible, what makes sense, what doesn't make sense.
Right.
I mean, the building is kind of an interesting old building. It's, I mean, the county assessor values it at about 66,000. Our insurance company values it at about $210,000. I mean, so we
Yeah.
have, and then, you know,
So we need a fire?
what are we, you know, what are we hoping to gain, from this building and investing money into it, and, you know, does it, I mean, I don't know, I'm not a construction person, so
Right.
when a construction person walks through it and they say, yeah, this building's probably seen better days and it needs to, you know, maybe be demolished and build a new one here or something, I don't know. Or they they know how to look at the bones of the building, I guess.
Yeah,
And say, this is still usable, we just have to refurbish it.
right.
Okay, any other questions, comments, thoughts? All right,
So you want me to go ahead and try to get the bathroom thing and have a contractor on a walkthrough?
yeah, I wouldn't limit it to the bathroom necessarily yet, but, walk through with a contractor.
Right, and
that
just
we
tell
talked
him the
about
whole
and
plan
say,
and then-
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the overall worth of the building from a construction person's vantage point?
Yeah,
And what can we, hope to gain from a remodel versus, is it too far gone for that? Do we have to scuttle it and then rebuild it?
yeah. And I,
Makes sense to. All right,
yep,
next you have a parking lot estimate for us.
got two of them. I think you guys have those. Now, these two doesn't have anything in there pertaining to drainage from that parking lot if it's paved. I talked to Graham the other day, and I tried to get a hold of Banning, the person that was on the project over there, Steve Brehob. He's not available right now. Mark's not available right now. If we try to divert the water back towards the storm drain, the parking lot would have to be built up 4 to 5 foot on the east end to get elevation for a gravity feed. Now, one of these contractors told me that they could put a swell down on the east end, divert the water to the north to the fence line, and then let it go on its merry way, but I'm not sure that's legal. You know what I mean? Especially if it's paved, because that's gonna make the water run off a lot faster, rather than soak in as it's running off. So we're kind of a dilemma right now on these estimates yet. You know what I mean? If it has to be built up, it's gonna be more.
Is that something that has to be all done at one time, or is it something that we could just say,
Well,
well,
while they're-
right now, we're just gonna put the gravel on?
No,
And then
because,
maybe in a year or two, we talk about actually paving and,
well, see, they're gonna actually cut the soil out first before they put the gravel down, so, if it has to be built up, then they don't have to cut it out at all down on the east end, they're gonna have to put gravel in there. So that's, you can't start without us figuring out how we're gonna do the drainage. Cause there's no storm drains on Michigan. The closest one's right here on 39, right across the street.
Yeah, I think it'd be helpful to get, the drainage situation figured out before we go any further. Hate to start the project and then go,
Right.
we're gonna
Yeah.
have to flip around what we did to.
Yeah, I mean, I could start tomorrow again trying to get a hold of this. Banning ought to be able to give us an answer one way or the other, because they did all the plans to start with.
Right. I agree. All right, we'll table that until Banning can give us an answer. All right, and then you got an appraisal on the sewer road
Yes,
expansion issue.
yeah.
Make that 22 foot wide.
Right, and I guess what this agreement here is for all the legal and all that stuff, right, for the cost. Appraisal, legal description, searches.
questions on this? And Jenny, would this come out of, motor vehicle highway at all, or would it have to come
I
out of
don't know what it
multiple?
would come out of. I don't know if it would come out of sewer plant, since it's going to the sewer plant, or if it would come out of motor vehicle highway.
We could do 50/50.
Wherever the money is,
We're building
I
a
guess.
road, or we're adding to a road, and,
When
we're
we paved it years and years and years ago, we took it out of sewer, when we
okay.
paved that. And it was only $18,000 back then, probably about 3 times
Take that times 10 now, probably.
At least.
All right, any other questions on this proposal?
But this is what they're wanting, $8,650 total.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
For the.
Yeah.
That's for the survey,
Yeah.
all the
title,
searches.
survey, appraisal, yeah. Make that entrance roadway, 22-foot wide
Yeah.
road instead of 11, that's out there now.
Well, I would make a motion if I knew which fund we need to take it out of.
Well, most of
Okay.
your money in motor vehicle highway for paving is going toward,
CCMG.
mhm. But you still gotta
Yeah.
think, how much is it gonna cost to actually pave it when we get
Well,
this okay?
well,
I mean, my opinion is, if I'm sitting on 39, I look and see if there's anybody coming, and I say, nope, nobody's coming, I'll head to the sewer plant.
well, I would say you would get the right of way first, and then we could budget for it on the
Yeah,
time,
maybe
because
next year
right
or
now,
something,
yeah, it
yeah.
wouldn't be any busier than what it was.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, we might have to dig into George's fund.
I would think that if it started as a sewer expense, that it should remain a sewer
Yeah, I would think so
expense.
too, that's what I would think, but I've been wrong.
Yeah, I mean, the only other argument against that would be that we're gonna add it to our town's, roadway inventory, and then we're gonna get motor vehicle highway funds for that piece of road that we just added.
Right.
So we'll see, George won't see those funds coming back to him, we'll get them on our side.
Is it not included in the motor vehicle highway money now?
That stretch of road, no, cause it's not a town inventory street.
Okay.
It owns,
Yeah,
it's owned by
I don't think it's
private.
gonna be much to get, but,
Yeah, it, probably be $20 a year or something like that.
so we can pay like a foot at a time?
Yeah.
So, I could see splitting it between motor vehicle highway and sewer as we're acquiring land to help get better access to the wastewater treatment plant. But then we're also adding inventory to the town for our motor vehicle highway funds.
Is it possible to have wastewater treatment pay for it now, and then town pay back that money, or a portion of that money back into wastewater treatment at a later date in a new budget? Is that allowed?
Well, I mean, at this point, there's no reason to think that paving wouldn't happen well into next year anyway, because, I mean, all the processes that have to go into that. I mean, we'd have to, once we purchase the property, then we have to get, a plan for, here's what the road's gonna look like. We get bids from different paving companies. I mean, that's
Right,
that
I
could easily
thought,
take
I
them.
know, I thought maybe if we were discussing just getting the ball rolling with this, if that was a problem.
Oh, I don't, I mean, not, this amount of money, I don't think, is a huge problem for either one of our funds right now, but getting this ball rolling is separate from that idea of paving it.
You know, I'm still thinking it should still be the sewer. Because we're talking about purchasing land, correct? Which would be an asset to the sewer system, is that piece of land. Then we're gonna talk about building a road on that land, which could be of the town doing the road. But I think the actual land being purchased should come out of the sewer.
Yeah, so this fund here is what you're talking about, 100% of this 8650 comes from out of the sewer.
Because that's what we're doing, is paying $86.50 for purchasing that land.
Do you have any comment on that, Grant?
Boils down to,
She spends that much on a Saturday night, so.
$86.50. I think it should come out of sewer too, but that's just my opinion also with Leanne.
Well,
Alright, so for this initial part, first step in the process, the $8,650, we're gonna go forward with this under the understanding that that amount's gonna come out of the sewer, plant funding.
yeah.
Okay?
Well, I make a motion that we get the survey done for that piece of land going down to the sewer plant, and also the money come out of the sewer fund for $86.50.
Okay, got a first motion?
I'll second.
Got a second, and all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Ader ditch update.
So I emailed out a copy of the settlement agreement. You might recall when we approved the mediated agreement, there was a global settlement that was gonna be, need to be executed. I emailed that out, and that just needs to be approved. It's already been signed by the plaintiffs and by the contractor. And then the other decision I think you need to make is when you wanna make the town's contribution, that amount that we talked about. That can be now, or within 30 days under the agreement, or it can be with the second installment.
And I note that amount is in our voucher or claim docket, so we're prepared to make that now.
Okay, that makes sense to me, but
Yeah.
Okay. All right, any questions?
and I just printed the signature.
For Grant?
pad.
Okay.
Do we need a motion on that?
Yes, please.
Yes.
I make a motion that we pay the amount that's on our voucher to the plaintiff.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, all signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, thank you very much.
Oh, we have parking lot estimates twice.
Hey, all right,
Well,
Pete, you
Pete,
gotta talk
come on
about
back
parking
up
lot again.
Anything new, Pete? You just put it down.
Body camera storage, Dave?
I don't have any updates on this. I haven't talked to Thomas because he's been out with his Achilles, and I was out for a while too. So I really think it's something that Thomas should possibly head up, because I'm not that knowledgeable in what exactly how it's used, when it's turned on, and all of that, and I'm afraid that I might get lost in a little bit of the jargon if I talk to somebody that made a recommendation without him, I'm going over there like he's here, without him, being on board with all of it, so. I will try to reach out to him before our next meeting, and then really have something to present.
Okay. Jenny, you had a report on the CDs, LR?
Yes, the one that we were gonna cash in, she looked into it and we could get it for 8 months. It was at 0.03% interest, and an 8-month one would be 4.75% interest. And we said, okay. Yeah. So she called me today and she's gonna do that one, and then the one that's 14,000 is low interest too, and she has to close it out and then like repurchase it to get the 4.75. So I have to go up there and sign papers for it because she's closing one out, so we are gonna go ahead and keep them up there at the 4.75%. So that should help.
Okay, very good. I like it. All right, next on, here's the utility manager job description. So last month, George gave us a copy of some information that he presented as a kind of an alternate to what we had come up with a couple of years ago. And I did just a little, I should have done my changes in red. I know, I apologize for not following correct procedure on that. Were there any issues with the changes that you guys
The
had?
only one that I see is the, underneath the duties, the first one, the add chemicals to disinfection water in the clarifier tank should really say something like chlorine contact chamber and dechlorination tank, not the actual clarifying tank.
Oh, okay.
Because we actually have 2 tanks, and one we put the chlorine in, the one we take it back out. Yeah, another one,
That's
the
a neat
clarifying
trick.
tank, you don't put anything there because you'll kill your bugs. That was the only thing.
All
I see.
right, can you just email me that change in wording so I can
Yeah,
make that specifically tank?
for sure.
I got the wording of that tank wrong, I apologize.
That's okay.
Any other changes that were,
No.
I did kind of added, you know, just formatting issue on it is
Sure.
for the most part, I thought it.
Well, it was just a draft, you know, it was just a starting point.
Sure,
It's
sure.
like, I don't know where you start, you know, looking at what other towns do and how they manage that. Just kind of put some,
Yeah.
together some bullet points.
I expanded out some of the abbreviations you put on there just to make sure that if somebody
Right.
just picked this up from a, you know,
Yeah, exactly.
public information document, and they're like, well, what's NPDES stand for? So I just expanded those out so that there wouldn't be any questions. Alright. Yeah, so we'll table that, but email me the wording that you want, that clarifying tank. And the only reason I added the months, required months of the years, cause I know that in
Yes.
the winter, you don't put that.
No, this last month actually been really tough because it was startup time, so you gotta get everybody out, they had to redo it all, and we just had to fire it up, so
Yeah,
it goes from now till November.
very good. Alright, thank you so much. Alright, new business, we have, I had a meeting with Financial Services Group, and sat down, talked with Charlie, and I learned lots of great stuff. And a lot of the back and forth that we've gone through with the township trustee and us about the fire department, and what amount we're gonna pay them and stuff, and I've talked to the county auditor, I've talked to a guy from DLGF, multiple times about things, and not once did they say, oh, why don't you just write an ordinance that allows the township to collect the tax? And I said, well, that would have been nice to know in January that I could have just done that. So FSG says that they've done this with other towns, where the township was, providing the fire service. So that was their recommendation, which I thought was great. But although that's kind of a tangent from the initial proposal, what FSG is sent with this paper is to their proposal to actually be our municipal advisor. Which is less expensive than what Baker Tilly had quoted us.
Are we under anything with Baker Tilly right now?
We haven't done anything with Baker Tilly since that 2 years ago budget meeting when Paige Sassoni came here and talked to us about the budget.
So we're not under obligation with any,
Right.
any kind of financial group right
Yeah,
now?
I haven't heard
Okay.
anything from them.
So these guys are gonna charge by the hour whenever they do anything,
Yes.
okay?
Which I don't remember what Paige charged us when she came to our budget meeting, but she charged us quite a lot for that assistance that she provided us, so. Baker Tilly did kind of a similar by the hour kind of a thing.
Well, the one they did, whatever that guy did, I mean, it was like.
Your asset,
Yeah, it was like almost $10,000, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
right. But you can still use that, just
Yeah.
because Baker Tilly's not
Yeah, I'm still,
continuing, that is ours.
Right.
They've,
right,
we bought it from them,
Yeah.
so.
yeah.
And if I'm reading this right, it's, the budget-related services are not to exceed 4,000.
Right.
Revenue service planning are not expected to exceed 5,000.
Yeah, which some of the stuff that, we talked about in their meeting was, they actually would, at the budget meetings, they would print out a sustainability plan, revenue spending plan, that we could look at, where are things trending, in the town of Clayton. The tax appeal. So we've talked about, getting more funding for public safety. They can do an appeal for extension of services, and they would put together that proposal to the DLGF for us. They said that they've not ever been turned down from DLGF with any of their appeals that they sent, so. So anyway, that's just kind of where we're going. If you have specific questions, we can, they were planning on being here tonight, but both of them got called out of town, so both Greg and Charlie. Otherwise, they would have been here tonight to answer questions specifically.
Are they local folks?
Yeah,
Fairly
their
local.
office is in Plainfield.
Okay.
That weird shaped building on that side of Crew Car Wash.
Sits back.
Yeah.
So you need an approval or a motion.
If we're ready to move forward with accepting their proposal as our municipal advisor, yes.
I'll make a motion to accept it as our municipal advisor.
Okay, I got a first motion.
I'll second.
I got a second motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, we will send them that. Regarding, can I just skip and, since we're already talking about the tax levy and FSG, just go right into that part? So FSG has basically said to solve this disparity of the fact that people in the incorporated Clayton area don't pay this tax to the township for fire and EMS fund as well as the cumulative fire fund, that it's, a simple matter of the town council writes an ordinance, with Graham's help obviously, and then we just we send that ordinance to our county assessor and DLGF, and they approve it, and then the county collects the tax,
Yeah.
gives it to the township. So it's no longer something that we, have to comb through our budget to find money or, worry about paying that to them.
Yeah.
The part of it, that I also like is, it's an ordinance just like anything else. If we feel like, we're not getting the services that, we deserve for that, we can rescind that ordinance, and then they no longer get that tax, and then we go back to negotiations on, here's what we'd like from the fire department. It would be about 7 cents for every $100 value for every property owner in town, or every residential property owner in town. Commercial will be a little bit higher, but for residential property owners, 7 cents for every $100 value per year.
Well, I like that, that's the way it's gonna have to negotiate.
Any questions or comments or? I think with this being something that's going to cost our residents money, that, I'd like to make sure that, we really publicize it, for next meeting, that, we can read the ordinance, have an opportunity for public comment, just because
Yeah.
it is costing them money.
Yeah.
Well, it's not an outrageous amount, it's an amount that they may
Yeah.
not be budgeting for right now.
Yeah.
My property, the county just assessed mine, and they say it's worth 300,000, so I'll pay $210 a year extra if this passes, food passes ordinance.
Say, let's do that, just wait till next meeting and.
Now, is this gonna take place, sorry, John, I didn't interrupt you. I didn't interrupt you, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Is this going to take the place of the money that we typically do not pay to the fire department because we are a town? And is this also going to take care of the newly taxed assessment that they made for the township that we would owe on top of?
The cumulative fire fund and the fire and EMS fund both would be
Okay.
taken care of by this ordinance.
So it's the cumulative and the,
Yeah, the cumulative fire fund is basically an equipment replacement fund.
Mhm.
It can only be used for capital assets,
okay, and then
buying more hose, buying more turnout gear, buying
the
more.
fire fund, okay. I
But,
just wanted to be clear on it.
Yes. right. The fire and EMS fund can be used for putting new,
Right. Right, but that takes the burden off our shoulders of dealing with that. Anything that they change as far as at a township level, let's just say there was, and maybe not possible, like a third type of tax assessment they could do, that would also be included?
No, the ordinance that we would write would be specific
For those
to
two?
these two funds.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean, and FSG actually sent a sample, ordinance in an email, so you can see it just covers, and so it allows the county to collect the taxes from the
Mhm.
incorporated, properties, whereas right now, they're not allowed to do that, so
Right.
it's an extension of services issue, but.
if either one of those funds go up, though, that we still don't have to have we don't have to do anything about that.
Correct.
It's still just handled strictly through the ordinance,
Right.
and there's no change in it.
Yeah, just like any other, tax assessment. I mean, the schools, if they raise their taxes,
There's
the
nothing.
county collects it from us and we pay it,
Right.
so, yeah.
Just trying to make sure that we're
Or the library.
clear of all that.
Yeah,
Before
did you
it's
get a,
due.
you got the copy of the,
I don't think I got the
Okay.
schedule. That
I'll
means-
send, yeah, I'll send you a copy of the, sample ordinance that FSG gave me, but, and then we can work on that for next month. We can work on publicizing it so that the public knows that
Yeah,
your taxes are gonna go up to pay this fire and EMS fund and cumulative fire fund.
And it would be effective January of next year.
And that was, again, I get like conflicting information from DLGF. Sam Vanderveen, he made it seem like he could like initial it or have it take effect immediately so that they start getting money from this year, which I don't
see how they could if your taxes have already come out.
yeah.
You've already got your taxes for,
Yeah, I
Maybe
got my
November.
tax bill
Yeah.
last week, so,
Yeah.
but, I don't know, he made it seem like, because I had Nancy Marsh and Sam were in the email conversation together, and Nancy asked that question also, but Sam seemed to kinda, no, we don't have to wait on that, so I don't, but,
Yeah, this one's effective January 1st, but that could have just been.
which that, I mean, and we could certainly write it that way, just start off the first of the year for next year. Then there would be that issue of, we still owe the township something for this year, but,
and they adopted it in March,
Yeah,
so, and then they didn't make it effective until January. Will that make anybody's, will that do anything to our town tax rate? Because we won't be adding that $42,000 in for fire protection or anything? Will we, like, try to lower our tax rate a little bit since we're raising that for the people in town? Or do we care?
well, I think that, I mean, as things are right now with, I'm trying to focus on how do we get more funding for our police department, and I'm asking FSG to help with an appeal on our tax rate max levy. So I doubt we'd see it. I mean, because assessed value goes up so much every year, our tax rate does come down every time, but we're hoping that we can not have it go down as much. Any other questions on that? Alright, so we'll, again, try to publicize it really well for next meeting. Graham will, take that, and if you have any questions, Graham, I can, FSG can talk about how they did that with Sugar Creek there, but, let me know. So those will be our steps for next month. Talk about that ordinance, get it around town and get people then aware of it, and then present it next month for that. All right, remaining ARPA money, or SLFRFs, state, local fiscal
Well, we have
recovery.
59,000, but we didn't appropriate it for anything. It's not
Right.
appropriated, so if we wanna
It's
use it,
just-
we have to do an additional appropriation.
Sure.
So, I don't know what, if you wanna use it on body cameras, or, cause it has to be used on public safety.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be all public safety, but, cause like we use
Well,
a big part of
right.
it for park equipment.
Yeah,
So, and the Treasury Department has literally changed the rules on this about a dozen times
Mhm.
since this came out in
Yeah.
2021. But, so anything related to response to natural disasters or you know, weather-related issues, anything, related to improving infrastructure. They mentioned the, high-speed internet every time they talk about it. I don't know why that's so important to them, but do we need some major high-speed internet here in Clayton
For the town or for residents?
it just says, are you offering some, you know, high-speed internet connections for people? But, you know, then we use some of it for the police car,
Yeah.
the Tahoe that they bought, with that, so,
Is this a use it or lose it thing, or?
it is. We have to have it appropriated by December 31st of this year. We don't have to have it spent yet, but we have to have it appropriated or designated on, we're going to spend it on X, Y, Z by the end of December of this year. So my thinking was with, Pete brought us that estimate on the tractor slash backhoe snow removal to replace the blue tractor, because it can be used for cleanup after a storm, or stormwater drains can be used at the park for mowing grass or pushing snow, any of those kinds of things. So my thought would be appropriate this 59,000 towards that, and then any remaining leftover amount come out of the park fund for that particular vehicle. That would just be one option that I was thinking about.
Yeah. No,
Questions,
no,
comments?
I think it'd be a good idea. Plus, the blue tractor, of course, you know, usually if you get rid of something, they want a sealed bid, but I think it's legal to, like, take it to the auction, and they put it up that it is through the town, you're buying it, bidding on it through the town, than other than making a sealed bid.
Talking about disposal of property
Yeah.
after auction.
Yeah.
You can do that.
I would think it'd bring, I'm just guessing, if we go that way, that it would bring more at the auction than let's get sealed bids, because it seems like when we ask for sealed bids or something, we only get one or two. Whereas if it's at the auction, you've got numerous people there that may be interested in it.
Is we got rid of our prune juice sprayer through the
That
seal.
was a giveaway.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
so
think
that's,
an idea. But, yeah, I mean, we can look at those routes of an auction.
if we do it, I mean, that's just me, the rest of them gotta agree too, so.
Okay. Any other thoughts, questions, comments on ARPA money? $59,000. What do you wanna spend it on?
I'd say the new tractor was mine.
All right, any other
That's-
thoughts,
What do you think?
what they wanna do?
I think everybody's input, I think, should be on.
I just don't know, we talked about the body cameras stuff, the cameras, but then we also talked about looking into grants for the cameras.
Yeah.
And if the state eventually forces, I think, municipalities to have the cameras, they'll have to have some kind of a funding for it as well, because there's gonna be areas it's not gonna be able to afford the cameras at all, so. I guess, yeah, if we're gonna go with that, do that, then that's what we should do with get the tractor for the funds, the ARPA funds.
All right. Anybody else? All right, anybody want to make a motion?
I make a motion at the $59,000 appropriation for go towards the new tractor.
Okay, got a first motion?
I'll second.
I got a second motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, we will do an additional appropriation to purchase a tractor with that. Any remaining balance would come out of the park fund. Next item on is town trash pickup day. Last year we were fortunate to have Denny
Yeah.
Excavating help us out with some dumpsters, or,
I've reached out to him.
okay,
He hasn't returned my call yet,
okay,
but, if we do, I'm shooting towards the, 15th of June, that Saturday on June.
Will that be the hottest day in June, probably?
he wants to pick the hottest day in
So
June.
is there,
The reason I don't do May, cause you usually have graduations, you've got the races, and I'm hoping that's a day that, like not the fish fries are going on or anything, I don't know.
Sure,
We can change the date if, I'll know more once he returns the call,
yeah.
he's willing.
Well, it'd be helpful when he does return the call, you can say,
Yeah,
we picked a date.
Yeah.
Are you gonna be available, or
yeah,
are you gonna have some dumpsters available?
yeah.
we had it last year, was it the 10th? Yeah, we had the 10th last year.
Okay, so pretty close to the same date.
Yeah,
And then, last year, because Mr. Denny donated the dumpsters, we donated any metal recycling, funds back to him.
yeah,
Are we wanting to make the same concession this year?
could say yes.
Good idea.
Okay, so we'll just tell him that
Yeah.
same idea, same deal we had last year, if he's available, if he's able to.
Right.
And we bought him gift card too, didn't we?
Yeah,
Mhm.
And John.
Yeah, John bought one for himself.
yeah,
No,
yeah, clarify the.
Mr. Pickerel,
not, we also bought one for,
John Pickerel, right?
John
Yeah.
Pickerel, yeah.
that's good, I drew his name.
He helped us all day over there, and then he went over to the Fish Fry and Amo to sing
Sing
his
at night,
or
yeah.
his band was
Oh,
performing.
uh-huh.
I was like, man, that guy, he's just an Energizer bunny, he doesn't ever stop. But, so it was nice. Alright, so we'll shoot for June 15th. And shoot for Denny Excavating, offering
Yeah.
us some dumpsters.
So
All right.
If that don't pan out, I'm gonna say we're probably not gonna do it for the prices of what it would cost us to get those compared to last year. I'm sure they're more.
Okay. NFP renewal of our town insurance, this is, up in June. Pete's been working on that.
Yeah, and we have another agency that's going over our needs right now.
Okay,
And I emailed our current agent and asked him to give me an exact date, the last date that we have to accept, so we don't go past.
okay,
So in the meantime, I'm still waiting on the other agent to give me a quote.
alright. So we'll update on the May meeting, on what we're doing with that, whether we're doing, Brenneman Farms contract renewal. We get that typed up,
Yeah, I've got it typed up and, Mark brought the check in the other day,
alright?
but he was out the door before I could say anything to him, so we'll get this to him.
Yeah, that's fine. Do I need to sign that, or
Yeah.
we need, so, alright.
Yeah.
We'll sign that and, get that back to him, so he can sign it. Alright, George, we're up to you now. Talk about anything sewer related.
Anything sewer related, okay, well.
There's a note on here their C1, D1
Yeah, I was
sewer trucks
surprised by
going
that.
repair, but.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So I think it
John?
relates back to where I was supposed to talk to Banning about the C1D1 and are we doing the most optimal way of locating that new, construction? And he said, yeah, just absolutely no other way to go. It's gotta stay there. Even if we were to use the existing one, it's not wide enough to accommodate doing anything with. So his recommendation is just to stay the course and get an appraisal and see what it's worth. And I think, Pete, you and I talked a couple of times, you were working on getting somebody to come out and do an actual appraisal. Yeah, to do that.
I talked to him today.
Here's that paper that had
Okay.
a little bitty writing.
Very good. Well, we'll keep working on that, and, any issues with the goalie washer we had today, or?
Yeah.
C1D1.
Last time I thought that one was, so the last rain we had was like 2 inches, and one today was like 3. So I just went around and spot checked. We basically got leaks everywhere. I mean, there's no other way to put it. I went into the manhole that's out on 39, just as an example. I don't know, I grabbed James, him and I went around when it quit raining. We popped manhole after manhole. As an example, the one right there by the school, there's no school. Water's just pouring in from the school property into that. We actually had one manhole that was totally full. There's a house on the corner, I think it's a double wide house there. So there's a pipe that comes in that manhole and heads toward that direction. I mean, it's probably a 6-inch pipe, maybe 4 inch. It was like full coming out. So we're gonna have to do something to move forward to aggressively fix these leaks.
Now, the one at the school, are you talking about the one at the old driveway going back there towards 39?
Yeah, well, it's right there, it's on the side, it's in the sidewalk actually.
Okay.
Right there, about halfway in between the properties.
Cause I thought we
It is.
rehabbed all the manholes on the school property.
I know, and that's part of what I'm trying to go through, or need to go through and figure out. Did we rehab them, did we not?
Cause they complained about, especially the one that was in the sidewalk. They were
Yeah.
like, oh, this is
Well,
really hard to work on, and.
I can't remember if that's the one or not, but one of them looked like somebody had done some work grouting it, but there was a good, probably an inch stream coming from the bottom of the manhole where the groundwater pressure was just pushing up through it, and just like it was just a faucet on full time.
Well, the only reason I asked about that one, because there for a long time, there was just a white pipe sticking out of that
Yeah,
storm sewer pipe, and when it rained, it come out, looked like a,
Yeah, it looked like a
because
geyser.
when the state put the new road in, allegedly, they did connect that back to the storm sewer. So I don't know if that's still that way or not, I'm sure. So it would go at deadhead there at that location. And that was a fix, I don't know who
yeah.
decided.
I think it all comes back to trying to figure out what was really done and what has been done, and, there was a lot that the original work was assigned to do that, especially on Ginny's Road up there, but that didn't, those didn't get lined, so there's several of them that.
Were there areas that you kinda looked at that, we need to do more testing here, or were all of them pretty obvious?
Yeah, that's
what
pretty obvious.
you needed to do?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Alright, as long as you got, at least a start on, here's where
point.
we need to, go with these, and, just get a dartboard and
Right,
start attacking them one by
Right.
one with their
yeah.
dartboard stuff.
So
What else you got for us?
I think that was all.
Alright.
Oh, are you sure?
I was looking at that, say nothing
We've only got
tonight,
one
but it's
little
like, I better at
paragraph.
least, mention that.
Alright, and then, Pete, you have anything else? I mean, you talked about a lot of things already. Very little.
Weather permitting, we're gonna get on the potholes in town, there's a lot of them, and some of them's pretty bad. It just rains so much that we can't do it. And we got our public parking signs, they come in today, right, Jenny? You wanna see one of them?
I'll see
Or
them when
wait
you
till
get
they're-
them put
wait
up.
till they get
Right,
up?
yeah,
Okay.
that's fine.
Well, I will say, I thought the lettering was gonna be a little bit bigger than what it is, but they put public above parking, so they, I guess they made them all the same size. and they're centered in the sign. My personal opinion, I'd rather seen a little more towards the top, a little more towards the bottom to space it, but it gets a message across.
Gotcha.
And we put a new sump pump in the basement last week
Of this building.
of this building, yeah. Yeah. That one that was in there was cast iron and it had a hole rusted through it. It come on and just spray out the side.
Jerry was wet.
That's all I got.
All right, anybody got any questions for Pete? Okay, thank you. And then, Thomas is still out with his injury. I thought Brian was gonna be here. He actually walked through earlier, but I guess, oh, did he?
I don't know, maybe he's on the call.
Oh, maybe he is. Okay,
I don't know.
all right. For the most part, Brian, Dobner, is that how we say his last name? Dobner?
I call him Dubner.
Dubner, okay. Brian Dubner is kind of fulfilling Chief Remender's role here in town while he's out during his injury. And so if you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out to Brian. And
I'll say that during the eclipse, we were well covered in town, not only by
I know.
our own folks, but the county. There were 8 or 9 cars in the Mill Creek East parking lot for the entire afternoon.
We didn't understand why.
Well, and then they left, they would leave at certain times,
And then
and
they
they'd
came
come back. And I think they used that as a
It's just a
staging
gathering,
area, yeah.
Well,
So it was kinda nice to see them all over there.
the county made a mandatory overtime, so all the officers were on duty. They were probably staged just in case.
Yeah.
So they probably didn't have anything else to
And
do.
periodically, some of them would disperse and then
Yeah.
come back, and
Uh,
it was nice to see them there, I mean,
Right.
you know.
Aside from the shooting in North Salem, they didn't have much else going on in all of Hendricks County, so. But,
Oh,
alrighty. Graham, anything from you that
Nothing
we
other
didn't
than-
address?
Yeah. I think we
Okay,
covered all.
Jenny, anything from you that we didn't address?
no, Judy and I wrote up internal control, and then Graham told me a few things that need to be added, so we'll have it ready maybe at the May meeting.
But I did look back through, and back in 2021, we started working on one.
Yeah.
We tabled it, and then when that lady was doing the auditing, I
Lisa.
thought she said, I found one, and so then
I think
we
that is
just kind of
right, but
tossed this aside going, well, why, hers was much simpler than my, I mean, hers was like 2 pages.
we thought ours was pretty simple.
Yeah.
Just the, normal things that you do, and,
Sure,
but we'll add that stuff to it.
alright.
Judy's not here, she's the brains behind it.
Okay, and then, we have a guest speaker. You ready?
Attempting to bring you an update on the Communications Advisory Board. They held their first meeting last month, but I didn't get invited. And when I went before the commissioners on Tuesday to find out why, they replaced me with Brad Butler. So it appears to violate the interlocal agreement that says the trustees appoint a trustee and the small towns appoint a representative to be the quote small town rep. So I'm going to bring this back up again at the next commission meeting I can attend, but I'm out of town for the next 2 of them. So I don't know what happened at the meeting, so it's, like I said,
Can't
it's,
report on what
yes, so I don't
don't know,
know, I
right?
didn't, haven't seen any meeting
Alright.
minutes, and I try to get some, and maybe we can come down for your next meeting, but we do enjoy coming down and watching you guys, so if it behooves you, you might make mention to one of the commissioners that maybe you would like to have me back on the advisory board. So, like I said, the interlocal does say the towns are supposed to make the approval of the person who serves the towns, and not the township trustees, from my understanding, haven't met in 10 years. They had previously appointed the Washington Township trustee. He was voted out of office, I think, 2 years ago, and his replacement just assumed he was the one that should show up. So apparently he's been there, so now they have 2 township trustees and no small town rep, so.
Okay,
But just thought I'd bring that to your attention.
fun time.
Yes, and my lovely wife would like to know if you wanted to take part of that $59,000 you got and buy her a space heater so she can plug it in over there and be warm, because you're about to freeze to death.
Well, what you gonna do when it gets cold?
It's always cold.
All right, anybody else have anything for the good of the order? Dave,
Nope.
John?
Yeah, I got a couple things. The pantry, D&D has donated gonna be a metal, like, storage building for the pantry. They seen that they needed that. And, planning on putting it there where them picnic tables were, but it's just a little bit bigger than that, so we're just gonna need a little bit of stone to go, back north and east a little bit to set it on there. So, I was gonna see if the town would have any problem putting some stone there doing that.
Nobody wants to donate stone for the pantry?
Well, I don't know, I haven't checked. I can check with Mr. Moraine, see what he says, so.
If he wants to donate
Yeah.
some stone to the pantry, if he
Okay.
doesn't, then we can probably
Okay.
find some, wouldn't be much, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how
No.
big is the building?
It's 12 by 25.
Oh, like 25?
Yeah,
You
long,
need a
yeah.
building permit for that.
Yeah, well,
Just kidding.
yeah. It'll have a garage door on the front and an empty drawer on the east side, which you can be locked, and that garage door had to be open from the inside of the building. But,
Now, if it's a food pantry, or they storing food, doesn't Gleaners say it has to have heat and air conditioning in it?
right, it had to have heat, so I've got someone that wants to insulate it,
Okay,
and, we'll have to, I had John Todd was down by there the other day, I just had him look, he was gonna give me a quote on what it would take to run power off what we got. It got enough, if you would just run in there where you would have a light and a couple plugs, 2-3 plugs, you could plug something in. So, and then I talked to Jim Bryant that does electrical work, and he's gonna give me a quote. I told him well, this is donation work. Even John Todd said, well, we can work something out, so I think that would be donated too, so.
all right.
I did have 2 things.
Oh, 2 things.
Okay.
Are you done, John?
No, I got one more.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay, I remember when we cleared down there, the old railroad down there, right away behind the body shops and, the town's property down through there. It's getting pretty tall again, everything growing up down through there. I was just wondering, maybe we ought to just clear that out again, keep stuff from growing up so high down there. It's the town's property, but you know what I'm talking about?
Some of it's the
Some of it's
property,
down.
some of
Yeah.
it's not.
Some of it
Yeah.
isn't.
Like it's chopped up
No.
now, but,
Mhm.
yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, 'cause it was cleared off that one time and it really looked fairly nice, but now it's
mhm.
starting to get all entanglement down there.
Can't it be bush hogged?
Yeah, I believe so.
Did we do that 4 years ago?
When Dan was here,
Yeah. So it was 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 6.
Okay,
that's all I had.
all right,
Now it's,
Dave?
I've had a couple people over, of course, where I live, approach me about a couple things at the park. One is, they wanted to know if there's a way the town could put in a little dog park at the park for fenced-in area so that people could take their dogs down there and let them run around,
Mhm.
And then another person asked me if that concrete area is the perfect size for a pickleball court, and they wanna know if we could put in a pickleball court. Well, we use that concrete pad for what,
The music in the park.
Yeah.
So,
But, I mean, pickleball nets can be,
to put
you
up,
know,
yeah,
simple
yeah.
and take
So,
it back down.
Anyway, I told him, I said, well, I'll bring it up and see what everybody thinks
Yeah.
about that, so
Alright,
I'm bringing it up.
sure.
Yeah.
See what, all that, cause I know, a couple of years ago, I was looking into the dog park in Plainfield and some of the rules and regulations that they have and things like that, so there, you know, you definitely wanna post some kind of a signage and that,
Pick up your dog.
yes,
Well, yeah,
pick up
yeah,
after your dog,
yeah.
and, you know, aggressive dogs are,
Yeah.
you know, not tolerated, I mean, you
Yeah.
can't bring your dog that's gonna eat somebody's chihuahua.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, but we can look into those.
I know at
To
one
a-
time when we very first did the park, somebody wanted to put a basketball court down there. And everyone was like, no, because if you're having a family reunion or some kind of reunion, then people are down there playing basketball or playing pickleball and, you know, that was one reason they didn't do the basketball court. Pickleball, I don't know. I'd like to play that.
And evidently the person I talked to goes, it's like the perfect size for pickleball
I
court.
bet it is.
So I'm like, oh, I never thought of that.
You could have 2 pickleball courts side by side on that slab.
Yeah, maybe so, yeah.
Yeah, so, or play doubles or whatever,
Mhm.
but, yeah, I mean, cause I've gone up to Danville and watched the pickleball tournaments up there and
Yeah.
stuff, it's kinda fun, so.
That could be fun.
Alright, we'll look into,
I broke it.
what we can do with that, so, Leanne, you got nothing? And Don? Okay, alright, well, did we have anybody else on the list there, Pete? Okay, from last week, or last month? Alright, consensus to adjourn.
Yes, yes.
Alright, 8:12, meeting